Kendrick Lamar has just made history with a Super Bowl halftime interview. What's going on, Hilltop Mafia? Listen, I just got back from filming just in time to sit down and watch this with you guys. Kendrick Lamar has done a very rare interview and moment. Let's see what he says about the Super Bowl. Let's see what he says about Grammy night and all the history that he continues to make. So we're going to dive into this together right here, right now. It's Kendrick Lamar.
But nobody can speak for the man better than himself. Please welcome Kendrick Lamar. Well, y'all gotta make some more noise than that.
No. Oh man, Drake is gonna have PTSD. This was played as the walkout to the Grammys. Now it's playing as the walkout before the big interview, before the Super Bowl. We all know what's coming. We all know what's coming on Sunday. You can't stop it now. You can't. UMG is going to make sure, especially after this lawsuit, this record is getting played and promoted everywhere. This is the new theme song of the Super Bowl.
Good morning.
How you doing?
Wow.
You know, Kendrick, it's a little bit surreal to actually see you in the flesh because you've always made it a point of just letting the music speak for yourself, which is something I really respect. But the spotlight has been shining so brightly on you for the past few months. I've just been wondering how you've been processing behind the scenes, how you've been feeling about everything happening, all the success.
It's just really just I want to look at it like it's just a continuum of who I am, really. I've always stayed to myself, always been in my own bubble, whether it's with the fam or whether it's training. How I process it all is just I continue to do what I was doing 10 years ago, and that's like be better in myself, better in the craft, and not look at it as bright lights, you know? And it may sound cliche, but it always worked for me, even when I was younger, you know, playing sports or being in the forefront of presentations and stuff like that. It was like, I gotta look at myself in the mirror rather than looking at it as a crowd or, you know, fame and attention.
Hell yeah.
So now,
Already off the bat, what a fire answer. But I've talked about this throughout the music videos, even through the beef, everywhere he goes, every time that a camera is in front of him or on him, he always just seems so composed. He's so in control, and he never lets the moment be greater than himself. You know, you really feel like he exudes that self-confidence and that belief and just like, you know, really not letting the lights and the fame and the situations get away from him because he knows his purpose. And I love how we referenced it back to sports too. And like I've talked about this, like when I do shows, like, you know, before you take the stage, like I go back to all the games and the away games, especially with the fans in the crowd yelling at you and just like channeling that same energy and like staying present and meditative in the moment. Keep it rolling.
You know, fame and attention.
so now, early days of your career, you know, Section 80 days, even early mixtapes. You perfecting your craft as an MC. Did you ever think we'd be at the Super Bowl with this?
I wasn't thinking about no Super Bowl.
You never thought about the Super
I
Bowl
wasn't
with
thinking
this?
about no Super Bowl for sure. We was thinking about the best verse and how we gonna split this $5 at Church's Chicken or something like
Chicken.
that. It wasn't no Super Bowl. Going to the studio and getting a meal. But I think, well, what I know is the passion I have now is still the passion I had then. And I think that carried on to the Super Bowl. So it was all about being present. As long as I was present in the studio and present in whatever that line was or whatever that mistake was, rapping or doing hooks or choruses or whatnot, I was present in that moment. I felt that passion. I think being present and not actually foreseeing everything kept me in the grounded state of mind in order to be at, you know, big stages like this.
I think
a very important line there is he said present in the moment, even in a mistake, right? And that's very important to me. Like that just, again, that shows that for him, it's a process. It's an evolution. But like he's never going to let flaws, he's never going to let things get in the way of his art. Like even in that, he still has ownership of that. He's not afraid of his past. He's not afraid of those mistakes, but he's giving his all in that moment every single time, and he's learning from it. Again, man, like the philosophy that this man exudes and just Yeah, he's such a wise head, man.
Felt that presence and that focus in your work for the past 15 years. Like Ebro said, going all the way back to projects like Overly Dedicated. And so seeing you perform with Dr. Dre at the halftime show 3 years ago, we already felt like that was the most hip-hop, beautiful halftime show ever.
Hell
and
yeah,
now
it was.
for you to come back and be the first solo hip-hop artist to headline, how does it feel being the artist to hit that milestone? And, you know, just your thoughts on what that means about hip-hop's progression and impact over the years.
Love
That
that.
shit, it made me think about like the grind of it. You know what I mean? A lot of people don't see like the story before the glory, man. And that shit is like
Bar.
shuffling out your mixtapes and, you know, going to neighborhoods and parties and performing there, hole in the wall spots. It reminds me of the essence and the core response of rap and hip hop and how far it can go. So for me, that should mean everything because it puts the culture on the forefront where it needs to be and not minimized to just a catchy song or verse. This is a true art form. So to represent it on this type of stage is like everything that I've worked for and everything that I believe in as far as the culture. Like I live and die by it. This shit done changed my whole family life, so I don't take it for granted at all as far as an art form, you know?
That's powerful. And like, it's so funny because that manifested itself via the beef, didn't it? And him and how he looks at it. Like, he's like, I'm not focused on a catchy hook. I'm not focused on making a hit record. If a hit comes out of it, that's amazing. Like, that's not first and foremost. The priority is the art form. The priority is the culture and furthering that. And again, we saw how all of that played out in that dynamic and some of his greater critique of Drake and Drake's catalog and how Drake approaches the art form versus Kendrick's. And I think we've dissected and we've discussed this throughout.
It feels like that was a lot what this year was about too, right? Like you
Thank you,
I
Abra.
guess, you know, you took it
Send
and
me.
put it on your back and you felt like a line needed to be drawn, right? Was that your intent when you rolled out this year? Was like, yo, I'm drawing a line. Like, this is what it is.
My intent was to always keep, I think from day one was to always keep the nature of it as a sport. You know, I don't care how motherfuckers look at it as far as like, as a collaborative effort, you know, that's cool too, but I love when artists grit their teeth. Like I still watch battle raps. I still
yeah.
watch Smack URL from Murder Mook to
Heard it.
Lux to Tay-Rock, you know, my bro Daylight. This has always been the core definition
Bro, can we get that Loaded Lux and Daylight battle, please?
of who I am, and it's been that way since day one. So I don't think it was a thing for this year. It was always just a continuum. And what I will say about this year, it was more from a space where I think a lot of people was putting rap to the back, and you didn't see that. You didn't see that grit. You didn't see that bite anymore. So I always took that in consideration in going into any type of my music.
That's interesting. So
King Crooked, I have, like, one of my favorite quotes from him, as he said, you know, hip hop and rap is a contact sport. And it is. And I think it's that competition that sharpens pens, right? That keeps you on your game. That competitive spirit can lead to innovation, right? And always staying on your toes and keeping MCs hungry. And it's that hunger that you get. And so many artists through the years have talked about this, have talked about the competitive sport of rap, especially going into battles. Even Eminem's referenced it in the past. And you just see again, like, Kendrick understands that, right? And he's from that mold and he's from that mind frame. And he exudes that throughout.
So I always took that in consideration
Love
in
that
going
answer.
into any type of my music.
that's interesting. So I hope this makes sense, right? You know, we've been following your journey for about 15 years, and you have been so consistent in the messaging and the focus, like you said, and you've always moved with integrity. So in a lot of ways, I feel like we thought we knew exactly who you were as an artist in a positive way. And then last year, it felt like you unlocked a whole new dimension for us. But that person, like you said, was always in there. But I'm wondering, do you still surprise yourself sometimes?
I don't know if I necessarily agree with the framing of that. Yeah, were some people surprised through the beef and just the demon that came out? Yes, from Kendrick. But at the same time, the writing was on the wall. Like Kendrick has always been on that time and that energy and that competitive nature. And it doesn't matter who's in his way. He's always ready for war. And the writing was on the wall with the Control verse days. Go back to Control. Look at Control. Like that was the tone that was set from him back then, all those years ago. Go even further back. Go to the freestyles. When he's like calling out anyone and everyone. He's calling out all the big names. Called out Lil Wayne. Called out Eminem. Called out Jay. Like, we did a breakdown of one of his freestyles. Like, I feel like Kendrick has always been on that time and that energy. He just needed the opportunity to just pop out and let the boogeyman come through again.
Did you surprise yourself last year, or was it just us, the fans, with our jaws on the floor, just stunned?
That's a good question. Surprised myself? Nah, I don't think I surprised myself, because this, for me and for my partners that's been around me since 2005, 2006, like my brothers, they know my personality, they know my capabilities, even when it, wasn't presented to the public at first, right? So this is just like a revolving door of what I've been doing in Carson Studios, at the homie garage, or my brothers at TDE, or just anybody around the city of Compton in LA. It's just magnified to the level where I've progressed it and did enough hours to know, okay, I know where to place it now. I know how to make it connect with people.
I think you used a great word in the earlier question, continuum, because that's what it is for me. It's his authenticity, but he's always stayed true to his value and to his roots, right? And like I said, you see that in his past music, and that for me has never changed. Has he changed? Obviously, we all change. We all go through different life experiences and tragedies, and different moments shape us and shape our lives. But I feel like at the root and at the core of who Kendrick Lamar has always been as an MC, that's always been evident.
Feels like each album, too, getting to this point was like, it was an album for the culture, and it was an album for the critics. You know what I mean? And then it was for the critics, and then GNX comes along, and it's like, nah. This is an album for anybody, everybody, and anybody who want it at any time. Yeah. And you brought that energy, and the energy you brought on GNX was an energy that I don't think was really happening in hip hop. Like, it's a Public Enemy level energy. It's a Ice Cube, America's Most Wanted energy. Sure. Like, it's a classic, timeless energy. Talk about your headspace between Mr. Morale and this GNX. Yeah, no, that's great. Go back even further, man. Speaking on that energy, like, it's...
What a question.
My cousins was like DJ Quick, and
hey, shout out to
Dre,
Quick.
These folks that my people was playing. So I always had that DNA. And, you heard that DNA a little bit on Good Kid, Mad City, but I wanted to tell my story first, right?
Bar.
And fast forward to GNX, I felt it was just a perfect time, because not only the energy was lost, but it was an energy that was bubbling inside of me as well. I wanted to go back to the forefront of just the bite and just the grit of rap, just all raps and hard-ass beats. And that's like the basics for me. I thought about, what I used to like when I was a kid. Hard raps, good beats, that's smacking, right? And it was a great transition from Mr. Morale, because that was my most intimate. I wanted to go inside of my own psyche and my own personal withdrawals and see how it connects with the public and who can relate. So during this time around, I think it was necessary of coming out of that cocoon and feeling like, okay, I arrived now. I can spread my wings and show every state of who I am as far as Kendrick Lamar.
And you really did spread.
I love that. I think Mr. Morale, obviously, some people love it. Some people don't like it as much, and they critique it. I loved it, right? And this is another reminder of me. I got to get that live stream cleared. Like, I think, 2 lives that I did over 5.5 hours of breaking it down. But I think without Mr. Morale, you can't arrive at GNX. I think Mr. Morale was a huge stepping stone. And I think he had to go through those personal demons and those personal battles and face that and face himself in the mirror. And just like, he was so vulnerable on that. And he touched on so many important psychological issues and impacts and things. But like, because he went through that journey, he was then ready for war. He was then ready to give you this warrior monk that is Kendrick now, right? That is so composed, that understands who he is, that understands his own humanity, his own flaws, his own weaknesses, but his own strengths as well. And he knows how to stand firm in his beliefs. And he's not afraid of anyone, right? And he's here to push the art form and the culture forward. What a hell of an answer from him, man.
Your wings. I mean, you
Loving some of these questions.
just came off a huge Grammy wins. You walked away with 5 awards, and you won Not Like Us won for Song and Record of the Year, which in itself is remarkable. But I think for people who love and respect hip hop and the roots of this,
Yeah, because you get so many ghostwriters that get to go on stage for Song of the Year, right? And you just get to see everyone who contributes to the track. But obviously MCs, we write our own shit, unless you give Quentin Miller a call.
culture, the competitive spirit of it, it has been a little bit mind-bending that you created this massive cultural award-winning anthem out of a battle rap song. And
Facts.
how is that something, after you got off that Grammy stage, you got home in some quiet time, what was going through your head?
I was just thinking about the culture, really. It's always that for me first. I'm not even bullshitting with you. It's like, when people talk about rap, man, the conversations I hear, they think it's just rap and it's not an actual art form. So when you put records like that at the forefront, it reminds people that this 50 years ago, they forget that it's even been here 50 years, right? And like kind of like belittle it. So I love to see that it gets that type of recognition for just straight raps, from awards to the billboards, all that, because this is truly just as big as an art form and a genre as any other genre. So that's what I think about. And I feel accomplished being able to do that. You know, whether somebody else come behind me and do it again and quadruple it, I love to see it. If that was my purpose to do that, then that's exactly what it was for that particular moment.
I think
But that's a huge statement for me, especially at the end there. Because again, that shows that he's not bigger than the culture, right? He sees himself as a part of it and a connector, furthering it, connecting to the history of it, shouting out the history, but also hopefully paving the way for its future. Man, there's some really thoughtful answers.
people often miss the significance of that Record and Song of the Year award, because that Song of the Year award is a songwriter's award.
Facts.
Like, it's not just the biggest song. It's like someone wrote
Bro, we're on the same page
a
today.
song. And you as a songwriter, when you see your name up there and it's written by Kendrick, and that's it.
Yeah.
That's powerful. And I think to what you're saying, I think there's a lot of people who have become fans of hip hop, and they, you know, you like the songs you hear and know, but you're not actually tapped into the work that it takes for you to generate the output, the art.
Exactly, man. As a writer, you know, and that's what I can appreciate the most. And knowing how much time I dedicated over the years in just trial and error, writing the most terrible shit to some of the greatest shit. You know, we all do it, from writer's block to figuring out how to find inspiration from the most non-popular aspects around me. So it's like, knowing that trial and knowing what I put in as far as my thinking process and what it takes to get there, I do not look at it as a small like endeavor because it's a hit record. No, it's actually some writing in that shit. You know, whether it connect with you on a spiritual level, whether it connect
It's even got storytelling towards the end. I
with you
mean,
on a comedic level, whether it connect with you just on a personal dynamic, it's still from a writer's point of view.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that last verse is a great example from that record of how Kendrick can set it up in sort of a storytelling perspective. He has a thought, he knows where he's getting to, and he has a great way of connecting it and leading you there and letting really that final punchline and that final delivery and that final point and theme sink home, man. Like, again, how many people have run away with that colonizer line, but how he got there and how he just put together and crafted that verse is just a great example. Like, you know, he makes it look easy, but that's because he's one of the best at what he does. And he's been doing it for so many years.
You are an incredible writer. There are songs on GNX like Reincarnated. I didn't know what to do with that song for the first few times I heard of it, just trying to figure out where.
One of my favorite breakdowns to this day that we've done on this channel, that Reincarnated. If you haven't watched that, please go watch
you
it.
possibly came up with the inspiration for a record like that. Like, when you're working on those songs, are you going through multiple versions until the right thing comes to you? It's hard to fathom, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah, well, records like that, first off, shout out to Tupac. That's the number one inspiration. That was always one of my favorite
Hell of a
records.
track, too.
From him and Outlaws.
Bro, that sample made me get up.
With records like that, it's always going into my mind of like, what if, right? And crafting out my what if ideas to the masses. So when I think about concepts and I think about what I actually believe and what I feel, I just go through a breakdown as if I'm reading a book, you know, and how I want people to hear this from a book sequence. So my initial process is, okay, how can I open them up to the story? And how can I drive them to the ending point to make them feel truly exactly what I'm trying to convey, whether they take their own perspective from it or they take mine. I just want you to feel it first. You know, the writing is there, and now it's up to me to perform it to where you can feel it.
Yo, wow. That might be my favorite answer so far. I'm loving this. But like, I've talked about this. Like he is a great author. He is. He's a poet. He's an author because we've broken down enough of his storytelling tracks. He has an amazing storytelling ability amongst his other skill sets. But I love how he approaches it like a book. All right, I got a plot. I got a climax. I've got a conclusion. How do I get the audience there? And how do I tell it? And how do I frame it and set it up? And his verses lay out like a good story does. And it's amazing to hear him say and talk about his process because that's how he views it. And that just makes perfect sense. I've even like stopped in these breakdowns and have mentioned that and said that. That's incredible.
You know,
and he used the word breakdown. Come on.
And it's there. Now it's up to me to perform it to where you can feel it.
Yo, give it up for this guy, Kendrick Lamar. Y'all too quiet, man. This guy, you know, this guy he doesn't sit down and do this too often. So this is a very special conversation. We appreciate you, bro. I really do. And shout to SZA too, because you guys are making history right now. And you've seen her from her humble beginnings like she's seen you from your humble beginnings. You've watched her find success, and now y'all sharing the stage at the Super Bowl. This humongous tour that's rolling out next year. Talk about this moment in both of y'all's career. Have you guys had a chance to even see each other in this moment and be like, yo, like?
We haven't even had a chance to crash out about it because everything been moving fast, like far as production and rehearsals and stuff. So we speak, but we haven't really got a chance to settle into the moment. For me personally, watching her, her career and where she's come from, it's amazing to see. I get to finally see how certain individuals see me come up in the process because I seen her day one coming in the studio and writing songs, throwing away songs, writing another song, throwing away songs, and songs is hard. And I understood that process though, wanting to be great. You know, even when we, people saying this is classic records, you're like, no, I'm gonna write another one. And I understood that, and I seen it. So to see it now magnified is like, she always had it, man. She always had it. And I'm just honored to be next to a talent. Yeah,
you've both worked really hard to be here in this moment. And on Heart Part 6 is really amazing to hear you detail that journey for old and new fans, coming up through the ranks at TDE and now launching your own agency, PG Lang. So performing at the Super Bowl halftime show is very much, us as fans getting to celebrate you and this beautiful musical legacy, but also now you're stepping out as an entrepreneur. What has it been like to build your own business and to also showcase some of that creativity from your agency on this platform? Oh
man, I love the process. Shout out to PG Lang. Make some noise with PG Lang.
Dave.
That's my team, man. It's
shout out to SZA too, man. Like, I can't wait for that tour.
30.
Can't wait for the Super Bowl.
Incredible individuals, 5 extraordinary executives that work day in, day out to make sure we are doing something that will long live the culture. From a music standpoint, from a creative standpoint, fashion, film, books, day in, day out of just being around like-minded individuals that have different perspectives outside of just music.
There was a great quote that I always try to follow and you apply, especially the older that I get and the more that I really think about, like, what is the legacy and impact that you want to leave? And there's a difference between making a hit and making a classic. And true art doesn't have a time limit. True art is truly timeless. And that's always a good measure of a classic and of great higher art, how it lives on over the years. And I love that intention. It just feels like there's such purpose on that mission and just staying locked in on that and really trying to create timeless art. And for him, it's all levels. It's the visuals. It's the amazing music videos that we witness. It's the fashion. It's everything. It's a holistic approach to it all, man. Man is giving just such game and dimes right now.
That have...
The camera's going to die. I'm going to cut it out and come back. Keep it running.
From perspectives outside of just music. So through that process, it was a challenge for me, but even more a process of me enjoying, different ideas and different backgrounds and how to look at things. I love it. I love it. Being on calls and, formulating business ideas and ventures outside of my usual norm, it challenges me. And I can't wait to see what happens next. I know it's going to happen next. Yeah.
We can.
Hell yeah.
I think for the audience too, and anybody.
That confidence comes through again. He had moments where he's being humble, he's showing love to SZA, but at the same time, it's not an arrogance, right? It's not a cockiness. It's a composed, patient, grounded confidence. I know what's coming next. Watch the space.
Watching around the world, the PG Lang thing is I think people see you as an artist and someone who makes music, but I don't know if you want to share it today, but the level of detail that you yourself, along with Dave and shout to the whole PG Lang team, but y'all as friends that came up together, you in the edits. Like what we're gonna see on Sunday is a PG Lang production.
Yes, that's all PG Lang. That is us sitting day in, day out, from the edits, the production, the stage design, the music, the sound tech.
Let's go.
It's everything across the board, and it takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of creative individuals. I can't sit here and say it's all me, because these are people that are just as passionate and want to see us win, but also want to put out something that lives a long, long time. And with Dave's creative mind, it's just, he's insane, man. That dude is like Basquiat in so many different fashions. You can clearly pick his brain about anything, and he'll give you an answer right down the middle to help you decide for yourself. So that's something I can always appreciate.
Yeah, I'd say
great artists are surrounded by great teams and people who can help them fulfill that vision, because there's often so many different moving pieces to that. And I've been around some great artists. I've had that privilege to watch some of their teams work and to see that firsthand.
with all of your powers combined, y'all are really diabolical. Like, when you roll out the videos, all the visuals for GNX, just the way you all move strategically together, it is inspiring beyond the music. Just thinking about how to approach life and art in a holistic way. And so when it came down,
Bro, it's food for the soul, I keep saying.
to planning for this Super Bowl now, you've teased on the album coming up to New Orleans with this LA energy. How did you guys approach the show and trying to figure out how to pay tribute to the classics in your catalog with this new music in like a 13-minute set list?
Yeah, it's wild. Mr. Morale is like an hour and 30-minute tour, so it's like you gotta smack the shit down all the way to 13 minutes.
Man.
It's kind of wild, and it's interesting because it lets you know kind of where you at and your perspective on how you think about catalog and the music. For me, I love being present. I love being present, man. It's my favorite. It's very hard for me to live in the past. It's very hard. I respect the past wholeheartedly, but being in the now and being just locked into how I feel and the energy I have now, that's the LA energy for me. That's something that I want to carry over to New Orleans and for the world to see. This is me, this is Kendrick Lamar, 37 years old, and I still feel like I'm elevating. I'm still on the journey though, And I want that energy to, ooze out into the televisions and to the people that's in that building.
Hell yeah.
Well,
Yo, that's so interesting. Just that statement that I want to be present. I can't live in the past. And I just said and mentioned, like, this past weekend, right? I was on set with the homie Ren, and I think he's an amazing artist. And I've had the opportunity to be in some rooms and to be backstages with some incredible artists and people who I really respect and think that they create timeless art, right? And one thing I will say is a common denominator I've noticed among some of the people I've been around, some of the great artists that I've seen, is that presence, is that they don't sit there and bask in the glory of accolades. They don't sit there and bask in the past, but they also don't let the past like overcome them with mistakes and things. Like they're always focused on being present in the moment and creating the best art that they can in that moment in time. And then once they do that, they're on to the next moment and the next moment and the next moment. And they have that drive and they have that vision, but they're always grounded and centered throughout that because they know the destination at the same time, but they're living in the here and now. That presence is key. It's a great word.
Now, you know, the connection between black culture and New Orleans and how important and shaping our ancestors were in this town, music, jazz, all that. You always put our culture and black culture at the forefront of your brand, your music. Same thing in LA. A lot of our family members moved out to California from the South for new opportunities.
Man, what?
So there's a big connection between LA and the South. So when you say you...
even in DC too, like a lot of our slang in DC, like even the accent, you know, there's that Southern influence that falls into it. Always happens.
Walked in to New Orleans with that LA etiquette and all of that. I don't know if people really grasp that, but you got to be feeling that energy.
That's a bar.
Like when you
It's a bar.
are out ready on Sunday to do your thing.
That's a bar. It's
Bar's gotta catch them all.
crazy, bro. Out of all my friends, LA, us growing up, all our grandparents either from Louisiana, Texas, Chicago, like, period. So our dialect and how we talk, it gauges from like the South and like the Bay Area. So like going to the store, we say finna. I'm finna go to the store. Like, that's some South shit, you know what I'm saying? That's not no LA, right? So that energy right there and you know, making that correlation, it means a lot to me for people to understand that. And the culture and just being black, I can't help that, man. It's just not something that I think about or even try to like go, I'm black. Shit, it's just go.
It's in you. It's not on you.
Yeah, it's gonna come out every time. I can't sugarcoat it. You know, I can't downplay it. I'm at a point in my life I can't necessarily fake the funk for nothing. And I've always had an essence.
But you should never have to sugarcoat it. You shouldn't have to water it down. And I just wonder through the years, because obviously we know how important his black identity is and how that comes out. And then those racial issues within his music. But he's in an industry in a past, and I feel like there's definitely been pressures at times. Like, yo, can you limit this? Can you know, like, we're not going to stop you from the message. But I feel like that answer right there when he's like, I can't sugarcoat it. I feel like there's some of that as well within the music industry. But also, you know, just what he encounters as a black man in America. Like,
I can't necessarily fake the funk for nothing. And I've always had an essence of that. But, you know, you have kids and shit. That shit's like, I have to be who I am authentically. And if, you know, the world can't accept that, then so be it. But who rocking with it, I'm going to put it all the way out there, you know, whether it's in private or whether it's on the main stage.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of people and a lot of artists stand in themselves as authentically as you have. And I think one of the questions we've all been wrestling with over the past few months, watching you and the way you've moved, is really what is the role of an artist? And I think lots of people have very different definitions, but young Kendrick, again, back to overly dedicated and Section 80 mixtape Kendrick, and GNX Kendrick, Super Bowl, Grammys Kendrick. Has your idea of what the role of an artist is, you as an artist, has that ever changed?
I don't think I knew exactly what my role was early on. I had maybe clues of it, but now today I can truly say it's to express myself and express things that people can necessarily say on the daily and for them to actually relate to. And come from the most vulnerable place where people can actually feel it. I think that is, for me, that's the role for me as an artist. I don't give a fuck what place it come from. I could be the most angry person on the record. You go feel that shit that day if you woke up and you felt that. You want to smile, you going to feel it because I'm going to make sure I'm present that particular time in the studio, in the booth, that I feel happy and I feel energized and I feel, you know, if I feel frustrated, you're going to feel it. And to carry that as an inspiration for people that's listening that may not have a voice, that, you know, I've grew up with cats, still to this day can't have a conversation. The most meanest, you know, aggressive individuals, but they can't even look you in the eye and express themselves the way they want to. So they resort to other things. And when I think about that, and I know that I have the tools necessary to communicate myself properly and effectively, I gotta do it for them. I gotta make records like Reincarnated. I gotta make records like Man in the Garden. I have to, because they feel that way, but they cannot project it. And when they hear somebody actually giving them affirmations, it allows them to speak more freely and be open, because again, I come from the same place they come from.
I want it all. And I like I said, like it really feels like Kendrick nourishes your soul. And the thing I've always loved about rap is that it's a voice for those who often don't have one. And Kendrick has just articulated that so beautifully, man.
Wow, Kendrick, we might not see you outside again soon after Super Bowl. I know, of course, you have the GNX tour. Listen, I know you also don't love doing interviews, but we are grateful. We're so grateful for all the music and the moments that you've given us over 15 years. And in the last year, your presence and your focus, it is noted. So thank you. We really appreciate it. Thanks for taking our questions.
For fighting.
Authenticity. That's what he reflects and represents through his art.
Man,
oh, for sure.
Thank you for fighting for hip hop.
It is really appreciated. And now, we have some questions.
Some kids are gonna ask questions. But I got one more thing for you, Kendrick. Before we go to our friend here, Hayes Adler. What should people expect to see and understand about Sunday's performance?
Yeah, I was waiting for one of these.
Storytelling. I think I've always been very open about storytelling through all my catalog and my history of music. And I've always had a passion about bringing that on whatever stage I'm on, you know, whether it's a war tour or whether it's 500 people at Key Club. I've always had a form of that. So I like to always carry on that sense of, you know, make people listen, but also see and think a little.
What an approach to a Super Bowl halftime show. Not, I'm just going to celebrate my achievements and play a bunch of my hits, and that's it. No, that's not his outlook. His outlook and his question that him and PG Lang and Dave are asking each and every day is, how can we further the art and how can we push the culture forward through this event? It's a Kendrick halftime show. No, it's not even a halftime show. It's a Kendrick show, and there just so happens to be a football game being played in between it.
I think this is going to be one of those performances where people are going to be digging up Easter eggs for
that's the Kendrick thing,
to come,
you know,
right?
Even when it's not
You know I'm going to be on it the next day. You know I'm going to be on it. That's why we have this channel.
Going up, right, Ken?
Come on.
Hayes, this is Hayes Adler. He's got a question for you, Kendrick.
Man?
Hi, Kendrick.
What's going on?
How do you prepare for such a big performance? Do you have a favorite way to stay healthy and active?
Yeah, I do some laps, whether it's some sprints. If we talking about, let's go from, on the physical level, I'll give you that. Maybe it's a 2-mile warm-up, or
You got to keep that cardio up.
warm-up, maybe some push-ups, just to get the body movement. Sometimes you be out on that stage, man, it take you need some oil on your knees a little bit to get moving and get cranky.
I know, man. I was jumping around on stage the other day. I'm like, yeah, I still got it, but I gotta stretch. I gotta get a warm up in. I'm getting on in years now.
Physically, I'm just exercising the body, a little bit of stretching, a little bit of all that. And on a mental level, I'm usually playing some Isley Brothers, just to calm not my nerves, but calm my excitement.
Isley Brothers, we're going back to Motown and soul. That's his warm up. I always feel like you can really get the measure of a man, even like in the locker rooms, like before a game for me or before shows and concerts. Like what is that athlete or what is that artist listening to inspire them before they take the stage? Wow.
A balance, you know. So that's my prep right before I go out.
Hell yeah.
Thank you, Hayes. Thank you so much. And now Alvin Williams.
That explains why he's so centered.
How you doing, sir?
What's up, Kendrick?
What's up, man?
I'm a little with Big Brother and Big Sister New Orleans. What has mentorship meant to you during the course of your career? And if you could thank your mentors for believing in you, what would you say?
Oh man, mentorship has been everything. To be around individuals that experience every little thing that you think that you're the first person to go through it with it's a difficult task when you're a young individual because you're like, shit, you don't know what you're talking about. But as you progress and you be like, damn, he or she was right, you begin to understand life a little bit better and not be so judgmental to people that have been here before you, right?
Yeah.
The greatest thing I would say mentors, a couple mentors that given me was like affirmation and to always give myself space to believe in who I am, even when I wasn't feeling it, right? You can accomplish so many small things or big things and you still can fall in a slump where you doubt yourself. And even though these mentors haven't seen the spaces and been in the places I've been in, it was always time to allow me to share exactly who I am or how they see me and what I'm capable to give to the world. And I think that goes a long way, from people in the highest places and the lowest places. We all need them.
There's that duality, right? There's that yin and yang that he has, that just Gemini split spirit, right? Balancing the confidence, the always ready for war, pushing things forward, the courage with the humility, with being able to not just speak, but listen and to take things in and to learn and to reflect. And yeah, just that balance.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Alvin. And we have one more
Mr. Morale and the Boogeyman.
question from Young Dylan.
What's up, Mr. Kendrick Lamar?
There you go.
Yes, sir.
That's
Yes,
an
sir.
artist right there.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir. It's a truly honor to meet you. And my question I have for you is, what advice could you give to kids about not being like anyone else? And how could they stay authentic while pursuing your path?
Hell yeah.
That's a great question.
What a question.
They said the number one thing people feel in the room, over love and over fear is authentic, being authentic. And this is my homegirl, Ink, actually, we was talking about this in the studio. She brought this in the studio. And I was like, damn, how many times I've been in a room where people felt you so intensely that it inspired them and it inspired the person next to them and inspired the people in their household. So how to stay authentic? Was that the question? Or you have to believe in yourself and have to know that it's only one you. You're an amazing individual, unique. You're a miracle. I wake up every day and I'm like, this shit is crazy. Not crazy from a standpoint of being a celebrity, crazy, just life. It's just wild. When you really sit down and just think about it and just bug out on some wild it's wild. And to know that you are in this existence and in this world as one individual, it's only you, you have to know that you got to carry that authentic nature of allowing yourself to say, this is who I am, this is how people are going to see me, and also going to respect me, and it's going to inspire people to have truth. Because when everyone's authentic, what comes out of that is true love. There's no boundaries. We don't have any courtship on judgment. We don't have any perception of being able to ridicule anyone, because you showing up as your true self, I'm showing up as my true self. And carrying that nature to take you places. Appreciate
His
you.
answers are just as thoughtful as in the music.
Wow. Wow.
It's ridiculous. Thank you, Dylan. Thank you, Kendrick.
Appreciate you.
That might be my favorite answer of them all.
Ladies and gentlemen,
I mean, but again, for me, that's who he is, right? And that's the energy that people can sense. And that's the aura that he just gives off, that he exudes. But because he's comfortable with himself, he uses that in his platform to set an example and a precedent to inspire others to follow this path. And I just feel like he's dropped so much knowledge in this interview. And if you're an aspiring artist or MC, or just hell, even if you're seasoned in your craft, like there's so much to take away from this. Just even anyone just in life, there's so much to take away from this, and principles to apply to our lives and how we lead each and every day. And I feel that he's got that presence, but he has that curiosity as well, right? He's just got that spirit. And I think curiosity is what also allows him to continue to grow, to continue to try new things, to continue to develop and hone his craft and just get better and better and better.
One more time for the great Kendrick Lamar, please. Thank you so much for your work and your dedication. Thank you.
Go out there and have fun on Sunday.
It's one of the best interviews I've ever seen.
Thank you so much to everyone for joining us today. We can't wait to see Kendrick take the Super Bowl halftime show stage. While you wait,
like these weren't just like cliche answers. Like this was some real raw shit.
You can listen to his catalog in spatial audio.
Now look, shortly after the performance, you'll be able to stream the full halftime show right there on Apple Music. You can listen, you can watch, you can sing, all the things Kendrick all the time on Apple Music. So one more time.
And you know, I'm going to be breaking it down. I'm going to be watching it with you guys.
For all of you, Kendrick Lamar, thank you for delivering as usual. The show on Sunday is going to be special and amazing. I'm positive. Thank you all so much.
What's the ending music? Diabolical. You know what it reminds me of too? It's like when he came out in the Canadian tuxedo. He never once mentioned Drake at the Grammys. He just had that little understated Canadian tuxedo that he was rocking. Throughout this, never once references Drake directly or even the beef really, right? This was more about his mission, his purpose as an artist, his message. And yet, there's still those slights in there with the intro music, with the outro music. And I'm sure it will continue at the Super Bowl. I can't wait for this. I think Sunday is just going to be a huge moment, not only for the Super Bowl and those tuning in. I think this is going to be another one of those pivotal moments in hip-hop history. And I am blessed to have a platform to share that love and that passion with you guys. And I can't wait. Stay tuned. Kendrick Lamar, you are forever Knox Hill certified. Hope you guys liked today's video. Listen, if you're here at the end, obviously enjoy the content. Do me a huge favor, support the channel directly. Subscribe, notifications on, really does go a long way. Also, shout out to the Patreon. We got more reactions. We got more content on there. If you really want to support me and the content I put out, come join the Patreon family. I'll put all links down below. All right, guys, stay safe, stay positive. Take care of these. Take care of these. Protect your energy. Protect your time. All right.
Sit down. Sit down. I'm like, wow, how we do it like that? Like, wow, how we do it like that?